In a world where ideas are cheap and talk is endless, the true measure of success lies not in talk, but in the quiet power of action. Every ambition, no matter how grand, lies dormant until it is awakened by the next concrete step. Elite achievers understand this better than anyone, forging progress not through ambitious plans, but through laser-like focus on the immediate micro-action that propels them forward. Imagine cutting through the noise of deliberation and debate to accomplish the smallest task that moves the needle. Imagine the momentum that builds when each micro-action unleashes its own surge of energy, accelerating you toward your loftiest goals. In the hands of those who master it, this silent accelerator becomes the engine of instant progress, transforming vision into reality with astonishing speed and efficiency. In the next few minutes, you'll discover the rules of action, 5 neuroscience-backed strategies distilled from the most effective teachings that turn hesitation into habit and intention into action. From a 2-minute launch protocol to designing an environment that pre-commits to your success, each chapter will equip you with the precise next step to move from talking about progress to living it. Let this energy settle within you as an invitation to take that first micro-action right now and watch each subsequent step unfold into unstoppable motion, the silent accelerator, defining your next micro-action. Amid the grandeur of long-term goals and sweeping vision statements, the most potent catalyst for progress often hides in plain sight, the next micro-action. Elite achievers resist the temptation to argue over sprawling plans or debate lofty possibilities, knowing that each moment spent in discussion is a moment relinquished from doing. Instead, they focus with laser precision on the very smallest step that brings their vision to life. Whether it is drafting the first sentence of a proposal, making a single phone call, or opening a blank document, that act of clarifying and committing to a next micro-action functions as a silent accelerator, propelling momentum forward with remarkable speed. When you distill complex projects into their microscopic components, you strip away the paralysis of scale. The enormity of write a book yields to the simplicity of write 100 words, and the chasm between intention and execution collapses. In that instant of clarity, the brain receives a concrete directive, triggering dopamine pathways that reward the act of beginning. This neurochemical surge reinforces your capacity for follow-through, creating a self-perpetuating cycle where each tiny win primes the mind for the next. By embracing this habit of defining the next micro-action, you transform every moment of talk or contemplation into an invitation to move. The silent accelerator hums beneath the surface of your day, ready to fire at the slightest spark of intention. As you make a practice of naming and acting on the next micro-action, you discover that progress is neither random nor reserved for a few, but is accessible in every deliberate step you choose to take. When your hand moves to initiate a task, no matter how small, the brain's reward machinery awakens in anticipation of progress. From the moment your neurons fire to orchestrate that first gesture, a cascade of dopamine begins to flow, signaling the pleasure of movement and priming your motivational centers for more. This biochemical response transforms action itself into a source of gratification, outpacing the hollow excitement of mere planning or pondering. Scientific research shows that even brief, intentional motion, typing a few keystrokes, standing to stretch, or clicking send on an email triggers reward pathways linked to the nucleus accumbens and the ventral tegmental area. The resulting surge reinforces the behavior, reducing the brain's threshold for initiation the next time around. Thus, the act of doing begets a biological imperative to continue doing, creating a positive feedback loop that breaks the inertia of inaction. Understanding this neural dynamic reveals why talk alone falls short. Ideas without movement fail to engage the brain's motivational circuitry, leaving ambition stranded in the cortex. By contrast, each physical step you take, no matter how modest, becomes a potent signal that mobilizes your entire system for execution. In harnessing the neuroscience of motion, you align your brain's chemistry with your goals, ensuring that progress feels as rewarding as it truly is. Rule 1. The 2-minute launch protocol to in moments of hesitation. When the chasm between intention and action feels insurmountable, a simple commitment to 2 minutes of focused work can shatter the barrier and unleash sustained progress. By pledging only a brief interval, just enough time to engage your brain's reward circuitry without triggering the resistance of a full-blown task, you harness the power of incremental momentum. Those 60 breaths spent writing a single sentence or organizing a single file ignite a cascade of neural signals that reframe the challenge. What once appeared daunting transforms into a manageable fragment, and the act of starting becomes its own incentive. This protocol taps into the brain's affinity for small wins, ensuring that the initial decision to act carries minimal friction. In the first seconds, curiosity and determination weave together as the mind recognizes that 2 minutes of effort entails negligible sacrifice but promises the satisfaction of forward movement. Once the countdown begins, action often extends beyond the allotted time, propelled by the dopamine surge that accompanies early progress. What began as a modest launch ritual blossoms into an extended session of creativity and focus as the brain, having tasted success, seeks to replicate and amplify that feeling. Over time, the 2-minute launch embeds itself into your daily rhythm, creating a conditioned response. The faintest awareness of a task's relevance triggers that short commitment, and the neural pathways primed by earlier triumphs open the door to effortless engagement. In this way, the protocol transforms hesitation into habit, teaching the mind that beginning, even briefly, is the surest route to lasting achievement, and that the shortest bursts of action often yield the greatest returns. Rule 2. Context. Lock for unstoppable focus. The most disciplined intentions falter when untethered from a specific context. Absent a clear time, place, or trigger, actions remain abstract aspirations rather than inevitable behaviors. Elite achievers overcome this by employing a context lock, anchoring each microaction to a fixed cue such as a location, a moment in their schedule, or a preceding ritual. By defining, at 9:15 a.m. at my desk, I will draft that summary, or immediately after lunch in the lounge, I will review my key metrics. They transform nebulous tasks into automatic responses, bypassing the mental debate that fuels procrastination. This mechanism leverages the brain's pattern recognition and habit formation systems, which thrive on consistent pairings of trigger and response. When the context arrives, be it the visual cue of a whiteboard, the sound of your timer, or the act of closing a previous document, the associated microaction springs to life with minimal cognitive friction. Over repeated cycles, the neural pathways linking context and behavior strengthen, creating a seamless bridge from environment to execution. That be why strategically locking key actions to their optimal contexts, performers protect their focus from the unpredictability of willpower alone. Instead of marshaling energy to initiate each task anew, they step into a pre-wired sequence where the cue itself signals, "Now we do," ensuring that momentum remains uninterrupted even amid the day's inevitable distractions. In mastering the context lock, you convert every element of your surroundings into an ally, automating your highest priorities and sustaining unstoppable focus. Rule 3. Momentum loop maintenance. In the exhilarating aftermath of a microaction, elite performers seize the fleeting dopamine rush by instantly acknowledging their success, no matter how modest, thereby ensuring the momentum loop continues to spin. Each small win, whether it's sending a pivotal email, completing a quick calculation, or finishing a brief outline, is immediately celebrated with a mental nod or a simple mark in a habit tracker. This act of recognition amplifies the neurochemical rewards of accomplishment, reinforcing the behavior and lowering resistance to the next micro-action. By embedding a habit tracking cue, such as a checkbox beside your task list or a brief tap on a habit tracker app, achievers create a virtuous cycle. The cue triggers focus, the action generates reward, and the celebration cue reaffirms the success, compelling the mind to seek further engagement. This self-perpetuating loop transforms momentum from a one-time surge into a sustained river of productivity, where each tributary of action feeds the next. Over time, the brain learns to anticipate these nested cycles of effort and reward, making The completion of microactions feel as satisfying as any larger goal. The simple ritual of marking a win becomes a powerful anchor that keeps progress on track, ensuring that the drive for excellence remains self-reinforced throughout the day. In mastering momentum loop maintenance, you turn the invisible currents of neurochemistry into a reliable engine for continuous, unstoppable action. Rule 4. Public accountability activation. When intentions remain private, the mind often grants itself leeway, and even the most resolute plans can falter under hidden pressure. Elite achievers amplify their follow-through by activating public accountability. They declare their next microaction in a concise message or social tag, creating an external contract that heightens commitment. By posting, drafting the project outline now to a trusted channel or telling a colleague, "I'm sending that proposal before lunch," they introduce a healthy vulnerability that galvanizes action. This method leverages the brain's aversion to cognitive dissonance and social inconsistency. Once the declaration is made, inaction creates an internal conflict between the stated intention and the unfulfilled outcome, driving the achiever to resolve the discrepancy through execution. The presence of an audience, however small, elevates the stakes, weaving a layer of reciprocal expectation into the fabric of the microaction itself. Over repeated uses, public accountability shifts from a bold gesture to an ingrained practice, as the mind learns that commitment encompasses not just personal resolve, but a shared promise. This collective dimension transforms solitary efforts into collaborative momentum, ensuring that every declared microaction becomes a call to immediate and unshakable progress. Rule 5. Environment pre-commitment shield. Before a single intention arises, elite performers neutralize temptation by sculpting their environment into a pre-commitment shield, removing distractions and arranging all necessary tools for their next microaction. A writer prepares a minimalistic desk with only the computer and a single reference book. A manager positions her reports and metrics sheet within arm's reach, ensuring that every element required for concentration is at hand. By designing the physical space to align with their intentions, they eliminate the friction of decision-making and protect willpower for high-leverage tasks. This strategy capitalizes on the brain's sensitivity to environmental cues. When surroundings are free of competing stimuli, focus channels unimpeded toward the desired activity. The absence of trigger objects, smartphones stowed away, browser tabs closed, and the presence of supportive artifacts, noise-canceling headphones, a glass of water, the project outline, create a context lock that virtually guarantees action. Over time, the brain associates the deliberately curated space with productive behavior, triggering the corresponding neural pathways as soon as you enter the zone. By wielding the environment as a pre-commitment shield, you transform every workspace into a bastion of intentional action, where the only feasible choice is to do what truly matters. In mastering this rule, you fortify your resolve against the distractions that erode willpower, ensuring that the silent accelerator of microactions engages without resistance and the momentum loop continues its self-perpetuating cycle. Now I'm going to tell you an instant impact story, from procrastination to everyday triumph. During a critical product launch week, CMO Daniel found himself paralyzed by the scale of tasks, campaign briefs, design approvals, and stakeholder check-ins, all clamoring for his attention simultaneously. Determined to break free from the cycle of delay, he embraced the rules of precision action. First, he identified his initial microaction, writing an email campaign headline, and committed to the 2-minute launch protocol. The moment he set the timer, the inertia dissipated, and those 2 minutes of focused typing naturally extended into the full draft. Next, Daniel connected that microaction to his context. Arriving at his desk every day at 9 a.m. would trigger the email draft sequence. As he completed each subsection, he checked off his momentum cycle tracker, a simple checkbox on a shared spreadsheet, releasing another rush of dopamine that propelled him through the rest of the content. As anxiety overwhelmed him from stakeholder feedback, he announced his next steps publicly in the team's Slack channel, increasing his accountability and turning potential distractions into a collective mission. A midday neuroadaptive break refreshed his mind, and the environmental pre-commitment shield he'd built, a clean work surface with only campaign materials visible, eliminated doubt. Within 72 hours, Daniel not only met his launch deadline, he also surpassed his performance metrics, achieving a 25% higher open rate and receiving praise for his clarity and immediacy. His emotional state shifted from dread to elation as each action rule escalated, transforming a bout of procrastination into a pattern of daily triumph. Daniel's rapid recovery is a vivid illustration of how these simple yet powerful rules trigger instant progress, proving that talk is cheap and action is everything. That you have explored the silent accelerator that transforms vision into momentum. Understanding how defining your next microaction bypasses the paralysis of grand debates. You've seen how even minute movements trigger the brain's reward circuitry, and how the 2-minute launch protocol shatters inertia with minimal commitment. Context locks, momentum loop maintenance, public accountability, and environmental pre-commitment further automate and reinforce each step, creating an ecosystem where action begets action and progress becomes inevitable. Daniel's story of turning a high-pressure launch week into a triumph demonstrates the real-world power of these action rules. As talk gives way to doing, each rule compounds the last, weaving a tapestry of continuous wins and sustained focus. Now, the path forward is clear. Choose the rule that resonates most with your current challenge, apply it immediately to your next microaction, and observe the instant shift from hesitation to execution. Share your successes with peers to amplify accountability, and layer in the remaining rules to build an unshakable foundation of progress. In the realm of elite performance, nothing substitutes for deliberate action, so let each micro step you take today propel you toward your greatest achievements.